Welcome to Marriage, Let's Talk, hosted by legendary worldwide marriage encounter leader, Father Rosy Rosebrough, featuring Catholic married couples from around the world who demonstrate healthy communication for building better marriages. And now, here's Father Rosy.
Hi, Father Rosy here. I'm glad you could join us today. This podcast is not talking about marriage. It is where we're going to share how to create a better marriage through communicating feelings in authentic ways. Welcome to Marriage Let's Talk. We're welcoming John and Zoey Plummer, who have done several talks earlier on the podcast. And we'd like to thank you for the gift of saying yes once more, John and Zoey. Now you're both off of school, quotation marks,
Yes.
but John's working, how many jobs, John?
Just lawn care right now that school's off. So
But how fast has the grass grown the last 10 days since it's only rained about 17 inches?
oh man, it's gotten long, but we haven't been able to mow half the days, so it just keeps getting that much longer. It's
Good news and bad news. How long did it take it twice as long because it gets too long?
Yeah, because you have to cut it twice. So it's not quite twice as long, but it's almost twice as long to cut.
Gotcha. You go by the job or you go by the hour?
I'm paid by the hour, which is nice.
But the job got you. You taking any more vacations at all? You went to the
Not really.
north.
Last weekend we went to my grandma's lake house in DeSoto, Missouri, and got to spend a few days with them. Yeah, just lots of exploring with the kids and
Yeah.
Does she have kids too?
no.
Yeah.
Well, it's my grandma, so yeah, my mom,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, so grandma is doing good.
Yes, yeah.
She have a lake. You have a lake, you said?
Yeah, at her she lives here in town with us, but she also has a house on a lake in DeSoto.
Oh, how big is the lake? An acre or 2 acres or?
Probably like 2 or 3 acres.
Okay. Enough to fish and swim too, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they got there. Close to 21 or closer to the other end?
I have no idea. I drive by landmarks anymore, so
You go down Highway 21 or you go on 61, 67?
not sure. We take 55 for most of it, so
Okay, then you're on the east side.
yeah.
If you're on 21, you're on the west side. If it goes through Hillsborough, you don't go through Hillsborough.
No.
Okay. That's my neighborhood when I was going from Old Mines up to St. Louis. I always used Highway 21. That's an hour from there to the old St. Anthony's Hospital. Now it's Mercy South or something or other. Yes. Well, what topic have you come together tonight to share on?
So we decided to focus on this month, are we wanting to try to conceive or avoid? And what are my feelings about that? So we practice natural family planning. So that's something cool that we get to discern every month together. If we're going to plan or going to try to conceive or avoid. So we decided to dialogue on that for this month.
Okay, but John and Zoey continue to proceed.
Right. Dear John. One of the cool things about natural family planning is that each month we get to discern if we want to conceive or avoid. This past month has been extremely difficult for our family. We've gone through some medication changes and big behaviors with one of our kids. And it's been really difficult on my mental health. It's been overwhelming, isolating, and lonely. Currently, I'm hesitant to add to this circus quite yet because I feel like we should focus on our kiddos and our own health right now. If we got pregnant, we would figure it out, obviously, but I feel it is best to avoid this month. When I think about this decision, I feel peacefulness. I would love to and look forward to growing our family someday, but I feel today isn't it. My peacefulness is blue like the ocean. It sounds like thunderstorms, which I love to sleep to. It looks like Gus, our 2-year-old, when he's passed out asleep after a long day. It smells like a cup of warm coffee. My peaceful feeling feels like waking up from a nap, really well rested. It's like taking a walk in nature or exploring new parks. My feeling's an 8 on a 10-point scale. I love this family of ours, but I feel at peace avoiding this month. Love, Zoey.
Dear Zoe, to conceive or to avoid this month, I love you and I love our kids, and I do want to have more kids, but just not yet. I feel like we've been avoiding for a while now, for many different reasons, but recently I think life has just been overwhelming. I think back to when it was just us and JP, and I see the things when we see pictures of what we used to do and be able to do with him. It makes me sad that we can't do the same things for Gus or Zeke that we were with JP, especially when we consider JP's behaviors and Gus's speech needs. I feel like Zeke, and even our relationship, sometimes has to take a back seat. It's like one issue just amplifies the next until we're physically and mentally exhausted. When I think about my answer and avoiding, I'm filled with peace and hope. Peace because I know things that we have put into place, and it feels like going to bed after a long week and knowing we don't have to be up or go anyplace the next day. It feels like getting home after a hard weekend adventure with the kids and knowing that we can just let them out on their own in our house and they will be fine for 5 minutes without destroying everything or getting hurt. It's like a rainstorm that breaks a heat wave. The hope that I feel is like the smell of bacon right before it's done cooking. It's like drawing the right card in a game and knowing that you're right where you need to be in order to make your next move. It's like making plans that actually work and don't have to be changed 1,000 times. It's like when it's bedtime and the house is quiet and we don't have to worry about what the kids are up to, especially when it's quiet at our house and it's not bedtime and we have to worry constantly because it's quiet. It's a 7 on a 10 scale. I love you. I think you probably had the stronger feeling.
Because I gave an 8.
Yes. Yes.
7's pretty close. I feel like we're on the same page though. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's like this month.
I think we mentioned peacefulness and hope, but I think there's a lot of like emotions behind those that have led to us coming to that point.
Yeah, it's been a really emotional month for sure. Yeah.
You talk about the difficulties and it being extremely difficult, and I think we both have. I know I for sure certain have felt it, and your letter seems to reflect that too.
Yeah, I think just like dealing with some of those big behaviors can be like overwhelming and isolating and lonely. For sure. Like,
Yeah, so our oldest going through some ADHD stuff, and his behaviors have gotten very big, much louder, and he's already big to begin with, and so there's always this constant worry that I have when we're in public of like, what's he gonna say? What's he gonna do? Is he going to decide to just punch someone, which is a real fun aspect of this medication change for him.
like how are people gonna react? And like,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's almost like taking kids to church times 10. How we're always worried about like what other people going to be able to like hear, listen when we bring them to church. But now it's like, is everyone going to be safe? Is he going to not say something off the wall that makes everyone just turn and judge us? And with his size, he looks a lot older than he is. So then people are already judging us because he's 6, looking like he's probably like 9. And then that's just hard, and that wears down on me anytime we take them into public. And the other kids feed off of it. And it's like this behavior snowball that just keeps getting bigger and bigger that we can't always handle when we're in public because the things they need to calm down aren't available to us in public. So when we get home, I'm thinking about this weekend we went to your grandma's. It was such a relief just getting home and being able to put the kids places where they have the things they need to calm down. They have rooms where they can separate, and it was just like so peaceful. Just being able to take a deep breath and not have to focus on like, well, what's your grandma gonna think about like JP acting this way? And while they know like things that he has and why he might be acting that way, it can be hard to remember that in the moment.
I think like the behaviors are more difficult for me, like when we're not on the same page about them. So like those times are extra stressful for me. Do you feel like the peaceful feeling we have now, we're more on the same page of like a plan of how to handle them, or like,
Yeah, I think this last week especially, like we've been like trying to talk more about like when this happens, we're gonna do this, or like how are we going to approach in this situation. So it's been more like practical, like instead of like how to be, it's what to do, which can be helpful when you're like drowning.
yeah,
And I know I'm more of like a how to be in a situation instead of what to do. And remembering like you need the like what to do because our 6-year-old's giant and he's very strong and he knows it. So um that's been something that I've just been like trying to be more aware of. And I think as we talk about it more, like that peaceful, not hopeful feeling is spreading out, and it can be overwhelming, but I think when we're on the same page, we definitely go to bed not feeling as tired, which is always nice. Like
it's
have,
not draining, like we're not fighting each other about, like we're fighting it together. Like,
yeah. And I know it's not always easy, like when I come home and I've been exhausted after work, but with all the rain, I haven't been working, which is nice. Um, but no, I think when we have these conversations about whether we're going to avoid or conceive, like it helps us to kind of like put our perspective of where we're at in life and like things we're struggling with, and help us like really kind of focus on some of the bigger picture things instead of some of that day-to-day stuff that we get caught up in.
yeah, baby fever is real though.
Yeah. Not saying no, it's not yet. And I think you're saying that too, hopefully.
Yes.
Because hopefully when they're a little bit older, we can start doing things like going to restaurants without Gus
I feel like we
deciding
said
to
this
throw
like
something.
2 years ago and it hasn't gotten better, but
Hey,
someday.
Recently we took Gus to a restaurant and it was just us and Gus, which is our 2-year-old, and he's adorable, but he only lasts so long, even with 2 people helping him. And I'm like, oh, if we had one of the others here, it would not be any better. Because when he starts throwing stuff, that's his new thing. He likes to just throw everything. Like Zeke would have been super mad that he threw a chip at him, and JP would have thrown a chip because he thought it was funny. And I'm like,
They feed off each other. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
they don't feed each other; they just feed off each other. But no, I think it's nice knowing that we're on the same page, because sometimes I get the feeling that like you want to conceive and like you would like one, and I'm like, well, where am I at? And trying to think, and then hearing that you're not is also a peaceful feeling. uh, Trying to like calculate like 4 car seats. That'd be really hard in the car.
Someday.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, John and Zoe. Um, the couples I've talked to who use natural family planning over the years tell me that they need to show their love for each other physically in different ways, or ways that the love language is much different. Have you chosen ways to help each other to reaffirm that sexual touch, even though it may not be in the sexual intercourse? What
A
ways
lot
have
of
you?
massage. A lot of massage. And
So we do a lot of like our love language and just like knowing each other's love language. So like my love language is physical touch. So those times of the month are harder for me, but John knows like either like giving me a massage or like just snuggling next to me in bed, like it makes a big difference. I think just knowing your spouse's love language is so important, and like checking in about that. Like I remember a couple months ago, I was complaining that like I felt just like so lonely all the time. And it was because you had slept on the living room floor for a few nights because your back was hurting. And I was like, oh, that's because you haven't been like physically next to me in bed. And like it makes a huge difference to me because like I need that physical touch. So just like checking in about those kind of things for sure is important.
It's funny because literally 2 days ago, she's like, I cannot sleep next to you. You are snoring so loud. Why don't you wear your CPAP? And I'm like, okay.
I want to be close to you, but I want to sleep.
But I know like Zoe loves having her like shoulder and back rubbed at the end of the day, and that's really been something that even when my hands are tired, I still try to do. It's amazing how like sore and like your hands get after like running trimmers or blowers or stuff all day from the vibrations. Your hands just get really sore and tired. And I'm like, I can still do this even without like, and it's helpful that I don't have to like use all of my strength to try to do it. Because that would just hurt her. And I know that. But yeah, we try to do that, and then every once every other week or so we try to do like a in-home date night
We try. Yeah.
we try, and sometimes we're like just go to bed, but we try to do something that's just like, whether it's watching a movie together,
Like
and
baking something.
doing something intentional for each other, because it can get frustrating when you can't go out and do things.
I think just like accepting that like date nights just aren't a thing for us right now, and just like trying to embrace like the in-home date nights and like time together. And just like scheduling that time together has been important.
Yeah, and there's definitely frustrations that come with natural family planning, but I think it's added a lot more to how connected we are emotionally instead of just physically. Trying to do things, whether it's puzzles and stuff, and we've been on again and off again on puzzles, and our kids have been trying to help us do puzzles.
Not going well.
Not going well, but they seem to enjoy it, and slowly we're working our way to being able to focus on us instead of just having them all the time.
What is your love language, John?
Acts of service, and we talk about it a lot, and like when we talk about how like you can like know someone's love language and think you're doing it well, and sometimes it doesn't always like happen.
So John's love language is acts of service, and I was like, great when I found that out. Like I do things for him all the time. Like I do dishes, I clean up the house, I take care of his kids. Like I do all of these different acts of service for him, but he didn't interpret that way, and it was an interesting time.
Yeah, so I'm the second youngest of 8, and like things that I got were always everyone, almost communal. And I have a brother that's like 18 months older than me, so like everything I got was his because he's older, and he would just take it because he could. And so when Zoe's like, oh, I'm doing all these things for our family, I'm like, but it's not for me personally. Like, since everything in my life's always been like bigger group, multiple people, like having someone do something intentional for me just meant so much more than when it's for everybody.
Lately I've been trying to like help cook dinner, and like that is an act of service for him because then he can rest more and not have to worry about that. Normally he does a lot of the cooking during the school year, but our schedules are just different in the summer. We always joke though that sleep is our real love language. So letting the other person sleep and you be the one to get up is like the real.
Well,
Yeah, our
thank you
kids-
so much.
Yes.
That is very vulnerable when you share the struggle, the ongoing struggle that you have trying to find time for each other. Not to mention each child is different to start with, and some have different ways of displaying their joy or their confusion, or can't speak what they need to speak very well, or one sets off. It's like a firecracker, a string of firecrackers. First one goes off, and the other 2 and 3 say, "Why not?"
Yeah.
And I always talk about a family, a couple is no longer in charge when there's a third child.
Yep.
You,
Yeah, we're
each one
outnumbered.
can handle one, but you can handle two at the same time because you grab that one, well, I got one already, you know? And so it's how my mom, I'm one of six and five, she had 5 and 6 years. So yes, how, and my dad traveled.
Yeah.
So, you know, how she survived, we do not know. But we used to always tease her anyway, saying, you didn't raise us right. And she'd get really mad if, you know, a little 5'2" person just gets red in the face and said, wow. And she just got very firm, like, it wasn't for me, you wouldn't exist. You know, but she didn't say that. But I understand it very well. But thank you very much, John and Zoe, for your gift of sharing, and hopefully somebody else nurtures somebody else. So we thank you and open the people who are listening to open the blades of grass and experience God's joy each day. He always has something in store for you. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Tell the kids hello. Let's have dinner again. I'll get dinner again. I'm so grateful for the guests we had today who shared willingly themselves in their dialogue. And thank you for joining us. I look forward to the next episode when I join you again once more.
This has been Marriage, Let's Talk, sponsored by Worldwide Marriage Encounter, the foremost faith-inspired marriage enrichment organization in the world, providing married couples with transformative experiences through couples retreats, small groups, and more. Learn to nurture love in your marriage at wwme.org. Marriage, Let's Talk is a production of Mater Media, the apostolate that offers the Celebrate Catholic Marriage experience to energize and fortify married couples through parish events and the 7-step journey to joy. Find out more at matermedia.org.